Remember when your mom used to tell you that sitting too close to the TV would melt your brain? Yeah, irony is a cruel, cruel mistress. Fast forward to today. You come home for the holidays, ready to hear about her garden. Instead, you find her illuminated by the cold blue glow of an iPad, watching a robotic voice narrate a Minecraft parkour video. And look, we can't blame her. She downloaded the app to see pictures of her grandkids. She was an innocent bystander. She just wanted to see a golden retriever puppy. But the algorithm doesn't care about your nephew's graduation. The algorithm is a billion-dollar slot machine optimized by Stanford PhDs to hack the human brainstem. Her analog brain never stood a chance against weapons-grade Brainrot. Suddenly, her feed isn't baking recipes. It's AI-generated images of Jesus made out of shrimp. It's conspiracy theories about 5G turning frogs into Wi-Fi routers. It is pure, unadulterated slop. And you start to notice the changes. The iPad kid stare has migrated. You see the phantom scrolling thumb. She used to read novels. Now she gets annoyed if a video doesn't have Subway Surfers gameplay at the bottom to keep her engaged. What's happening? Her dopamine receptors are getting deep-fried. The brain loves cheap, easy rewards. Why spend hours knitting a scarf when you can get a dopamine hit every 15 seconds from a guy aggressively reviewing mops? It's not a moral failing, it's a hostage situation. The tech industry built a digital casino in her purse and didn't give her the manual to get out. So next time she sends you a 14-part video series about how the moon is actually a giant hollow spaceship, don't get mad. Just gently take the iPad and take her for a walk, touch grass together. If you sit quietly and watch her scroll, the speed is actually terrifying. Swipe, swipe, swipe. She is rejecting content faster than a Tinder power user on a Friday night. What you're witnessing is the algorithm's calibration phase. It is throwing a million tiny darts at her brain, checking for a pulse. Does she like soap cutting? No. Does she like aggressive carpet cleaning? Maybe. And then, it finds the hook. The vulnerability. For your mom, it's those bizarre 5-minute crafts where someone turns a watermelon and hot glue into a functional toilet. She tells herself, this is productive. I'm learning life hacks, she says. No, Mom, you are watching a content farm in Eastern Europe slowly destroy perfectly good fruit for ad revenue. This is where the time dilation begins. 5 minutes turns into 5 hours. The sun goes down, the house gets cold, but she doesn't notice. You start noticing the physical symptoms. The gargoyle posture. Shoulders hunched, neck bent at a 90-degree angle, entirely static except for that one swiping thumb. And the audio leakage. My God, the audio leakage. The same 3 trending TikTok songs and that overly enthusiastic AI voice echoing through your childhood home like a digital poltergeist. You try to speak to her. Hey mom, how was your day? Nothing. She has left this dimension. She is tethered to the cloud now. When she finally does respond, she doesn't answer your question. She just looks up, eyes glazed, and says, did you know they are putting microchips in the tap water? The tragic reality hits you. The app knows her psychological profile better than you do. It just chooses to use that intimacy to feed her synthetic garbage. But the algorithm knows that DIY toilet videos have a ceiling. To really trap her, it needs the good stuff. It needs cortisol. It needs to make her mad. Tech engineers discovered a terrifying truth. Humans engage with things that make them angry 10 times longer than things that make them happy. Welcome to the outrage economy. The algorithm slowly drips a little poison into her feed. A video of someone doing something mildly infuriating at a grocery store. She watches it twice. Boom, the trap is sprung. Now her feed is 80% rage bait. People fighting in parking lots, fake political scandals, teenagers disrespecting elders. Her heart rate spikes. Her brain is marinated in stress hormones. She heads to the comment section to fight the good fight. She's aggressively typing, arguing with a bot named User45892s about the collapse of modern society. She thinks she's defending civilization. She isn't defending civilization. She's just generating free text data to train the next generation of AI, all while serving up premium ad inventory for a mobile game about dragons. And this spills over into real life. Suddenly, Sunday dinner feels like a hostage negotiation. She brings up something a 19-year-old influencer said as if it's breaking global news. You try to logic your way out of it. Mom, that video is literally AI generated. The guy has 6 fingers. But it doesn't matter. The emotion it gave her was real. The worst part? It makes her view the actual world as hostile. She's anxious to go to the grocery store because she thinks it's full of the chaotic NPCs she sees on her For You page. She hasn't changed as a person. She's just caught in a digital extraction machine that converts her peace of mind into shareholder value. It's a robbery happening in slow motion. Remember when she used to sit through 3-hour historical dramas without blinking? Now, if a movie doesn't have a split screen with GTA 5 stunts, she's reaching for her phone in 20 minutes. It's the second screen syndrome. The massive, beautiful television is just background noise. The real main event is the infinite scroll happening in her lap. You take her out to a nice dinner. You're pouring your heart out about your job, and you see it, the phantom glance. She sneaking looks at her screen under the table like a teenager texting in math class. And then comes the scary part. Digital dementia. She starts forgetting conversations you just had, not because she's getting older, but because her brain never actually recorded the memory. Her brain's RAM is completely maxed out. She has 300 mental tabs open, and they are all playing different low-quality audio clips simultaneously. She sighs and blames it on aging. "Oh, my mind is going," she says. "No, Mom, your mind is fine. It's just currently occupied by a 12-part TikTok drama about a cheating neighbor." This is the tragedy of it all. The app promised connection. It promised a cure for boredom. Instead, it built an invisible soundproof glass wall between her and the physical world. So how do you fix it? You don't delete the app, you don't lecture her. That just triggers the defensive algorithms in her head. You have to invite her back. You buy a 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzle. You pour some tea. You sit down at the kitchen table and you just wait. You offer an analog sanctuary. It takes 20 minutes of excruciating withdrawal. She'll twitch. She'll reach for the purse. But eventually, she picks up a puzzle piece, and the spell breaks. If you want to diagnose the exact strain of brain rot your mother has contracted, you have to look at her real-world symptoms. There are 3 main variants. Variant 1, the TikTok shaman. Suddenly, she's drinking a glass of warm lemon water mixed with olive oil and cayenne pepper every morning at 4 a.m. Why? Because a 22-year-old named Wellness Babes wearing a fake stethoscope said it cures inflammation. It doesn't, it just causes aggressive heartburn. Variant 2, the gamified shopping loop. You walk into her house and there are 12 identical neon orange shipping bags sitting on the kitchen table. The algorithm didn't just sell her a vegetable chopper, it gamified it. It gave her a spinning roulette wheel and told her she won a billionaire discount. It's QVC on digital fentanyl. Now she owns a Bluetooth-enabled toothbrush that also plays FM radio, and she doesn't know how to turn it off. It just quietly plays static from the bathroom sink all night. And finally, Variant 3, the most dangerous of all, the truck rant echo chamber. This is where the algorithm feeds her endless videos of angry men wearing wraparound sunglasses, screaming about the economy from the front seat of a Dodge Ram. These guys aren't economists, they own landscaping companies. But the algorithm knows their aggressive tone makes your mom's fight-or-flight response go absolutely haywire. She absorbs this synthetic anxiety and projects it onto you. Suddenly, you're getting texts at 2 p.m. asking if you stockpiled enough canned beans for the incoming grid collapse. But it gets darker, because now, the AI isn't just wasting her time, it is actively hunting her. Remember when internet scams used to be obvious? A poorly spelled email from a foreign prince asking for iTunes gift cards. You could spot it from a mile away. Now, she's scrolling and sees a hyper-realistic AI video of Tom Hanks telling her that Medicare is hiding a secret stimulus check, and all she has to do is click the link. Her analog brain has zero defense against synthetic media. She believes it. Why wouldn't she? It looks like him. It sounds like him. The camera movement is perfect. You try to explain generative AI to her. You say, "Mom, that's a deepfake. The lip syncing is an artifact." She looks at you like you are speaking fluent Elvish. Then comes the terrifying escalation. The phone rings. It's an unknown number. She answers. It's an AI clone of your voice, generated from a 3-second clip of your voicemail. It says you've been in an accident and need money immediately. Her amygdala redlines. The panic is absolute. The digital world has just weaponized her deepest maternal instincts against her. She's halfway to Western Union to wire $5,000 to a server farm in a basement before you finally text her back and break the illusion. This isn't just a funny quirk of aging anymore. This is psychological warfare, and she is on the front lines in her pajamas. To understand why she falls for this, you have to look at the root cause. It's not stupidity. It's the silent epidemic of our time, absolute, crushing loneliness. The kids moved out. The house is quiet. The algorithm detects this silence. It watches her linger for 2.4 seconds longer on videos of people making direct eye contact with the camera. And just like that, the For You page pivots. Enter the parasocial bestie. It's a lifestyle influencer in a spotless kitchen saying, "Good morning, beautiful people. Let's get coffee." Your mom talks about this influencer like they are old friends. "Oh, you know Brenda had a tough week with her sourdough starter," she tells you. "Mom, Brenda has 4 million followers. She doesn't know you exist." But to her isolated brain, the dopamine hit is identical to real friendship. It's actually better than real friendship because it's completely frictionless. Real friends have bad days. Real friends disagree with you. Brenda is always happy, perfectly lit, and completely agrees with everything you want to hear. And then, the trap closes. Brenda Pivot pitches a $60 bottle of collagen powder. Your mom buys it immediately, not because she needs it, but because she wants to support her friend. It's the ultimate evolution of QVC, stripped of the studio and injected directly into her emotional void. She is funding a mansion in Calabasas because she's lonely. Slowly, this synthetic friendship replaces her desire to go out. Why bother navigating the messy, exhausting reality of the local book club when Brenda is always waiting in her purse? She's surrounded by thousands of digital friends, yet completely, utterly alone in a quiet house. The algorithm didn't just steal her attention, it stole her community. If the algorithm can't hook her with outrage or synthetic friendship, it resorts to the oldest trick in the human playbook, mortality. It makes her afraid of her own body. It starts with a video from a doctor who is actually a chiropractor with a ring light listing symptoms. Are you tired? Do you have brain fog? Do you sometimes forget why you walked into a room? Yes, she has all of those, because she is a human being over the age of 40 who hasn't slept properly since 2012, but the video tells her it's actually a rare, undiagnosed parasite. Welcome to algorithmic hypochondria. Her feed is now an endless medical textbook of worst-case scenarios. Every headache is an anomaly. Every stomachache is toxic mold. And because she loves you, she starts diagnosing you too. You sneeze at Thanksgiving dinner, and suddenly she's explaining how your gut microbiome has been compromised by tap water. You tell her, "Mom, I just inhaled some black pepper." She shakes her head. She knows the truth. She saw a 14-part series about it by a guy who sells sea moss gel from his garage. The cognitive dissonance is staggering. She will throw away perfectly good, safe Tupperware because a teenager on TikTok said it had microplastics. But then she will spend $90 on unregulated herbal diet pills shipped in a Ziploc bag from a dropshipper in a different time zone. The tragic irony? The chronic stress of constantly worrying she has a rare disease is the only thing actually destroying her immune system. The algorithm literally stresses her into sickness. She isn't looking for health. She's looking for certainty. The medical system is slow, expensive, and complicated. The algorithm is fast, free, and gives her an enemy she can fight. To justify the 7 hours of daily screen time, her brain invents a brilliant defense mechanism. She thinks she's beating the system. "I'm not wasting time," she tells you. "I am gathering resources." The Save for Later button is a psychological masterpiece. Clicking it releases the exact same dopamine as actually doing the task, but requires 0 calories. Her Favorites tab is a graveyard of unfulfilled ambitions. There are 400 separate videos on how to properly fold a fitted sheet. There's a 12-part tutorial on how to build an off-grid pergola out of stolen shipping pallets. Mom, you live on the 3rd floor of a condo. This is digital hoarding. It's the modern equivalent of keeping a garage full of old newspapers, but entirely invisible to the naked eye. The crisis only hits when the dreaded notification appears, storage full. She has 40,000 screenshots of keto recipes she will never, ever cook. You offer to delete a few to free up space. She lunges across the couch to protect her phone like you just tried to burn the Library of Alexandria. "What if I need to know how to clean bathroom grout with a power drill and baking soda?" she pleads. You haven't seen her use a power drill since 1998. It's funny, but underneath, it's driven by that same algorithmically induced anxiety. The feed makes the world feel dangerous, fast, and overwhelming. She feels chronically unprepared. Saving a video about surviving a bear attack isn't actually about bears. It's a tiny digital security blanket. It's the illusion of control in a chaotic world. So, the diagnosis is in. The algorithm has hijacked her brainstem. The big question is, how do you stage an intervention without starting World War III? First rule, you cannot just take the screen away. If you suddenly cut the dopamine supply, her brain will treat it like a biological threat. She will crash. You have to replace the synthetic friction with analog friction. You have to reintroduce her to things that take time, effort, and have absolutely no skips button. Baking bread, planting tomatoes, painting birdhouses. Rebuilding an attention span is exactly like physical therapy. It's slow, it's frustrating, and it aches at first. But watch what happens. After a few weeks of analog grounding, the iPad stare softens. The phantom thumb stops twitching. The heavy, synthetic anxiety starts to lift. Because underneath all that viral slop and manufactured outrage, your mother is still in there. She just got lost in a casino designed to keep her disoriented. She needs an anchor to the physical world. You have to be that anchor. Pull her out of the cloud and back down to earth. Every family is dealing with a different strain of this virus right now. I want to know what you are seeing at home. Is your parent trapped in the outrage echo chamber, or are they stuck in the digital hoarder loop? Tell me down in the comments so we can map this out. The tech giants are building these psychological traps faster than we can dismantle them, and they are counting on us staying quiet and confused. But the house doesn't always have to win. If you hang around this space, we're going to keep exposing the code and tearing down the illusions, one piece of brain rot at a time. I'll see you in the next one.